So very good morning to all. Very good response and overwhelming response for this AI courses. I think 500 plus persons have registered for the courses. There are two parallel sessions where you have to carry your own laptop, and first 50 persons will be allowed in the classes. So two parallel sessions are going on with a session in this main hall. So I, C.S. Sumanchudi, taking the opportunity to introduce our speaker. She will be taking the topic on driving business values with AI from global standard to practical applications. And I would request to introduce Mr. Soma Banerjee. He is the co-founder and CEO of Business Bio, an award-winning AI and data science company serving global enterprise. With over 2 decades of experience, he has led transformative AI and analytic initiatives across telecom, FMGC, manufacturing, and e-commerce sectors. Having worked with the leading organizations, not naming many, Soma also served as an NASSCOM 10,000 Startup Steering Committee member and leads these women technology entrepreneurship initiatives. She has published research in reputed journals, many of the reputed journals, and also frequent speaker on global forums. And she is also a digital transformation anchor at College London, and with that so many of such degrees. Not wasting much of the time, her CV is also already in the slide. With this, I'll request Madam to start with the program. Before that, there is little formalities from the ICAI side.
Good morning, everyone. Namaskar. Thank you, Mr. Chaudhary, for the introduction. So like you heard my name, Soma Banerjee from Business Bio. I'm immensely grateful to Umesh Sharma ji and Vishnu Garg ji of the AI committee of ICAI and the leadership at Eastern Region for giving me this opportunity to be present here today with you. As a data science practitioner, AI practitioner, I deal with messy data. And I think as chartered accountants, you also, on a daily basis, face these scenarios, right, where you are working with accounting data, tax data, and so there is some, commonality between us, though I'm obviously not a qualified chartered accountant. But I have had the, good fortune of interacting, meeting, and working with many chartered accountants during my career of more than 2 decades as business leaders, successful business leaders, head of different functions, head of sales, head of procurement, not just only in the function of tax or audit, and also obviously as successful entrepreneurs. I'm immensely privileged to be here, in the presence of such an august group of successful chartered accountants, and I'll be sharing some of my, work nuggets, understanding of AI applications, and also some of the work that we do in this space. So primarily, I will be talking about some of the applications that we develop for our enterprise customers, responsible AI, what do we mean by that, and also the global standards in AI. So I'll start with the standards, though I think to this August group, standards is nothing new. You deal with accounting standards, you use management standards, reporting standards, but just for a minute, let's take a step back and understand why the world needs standards and why do we depend on that. So there is a requirement of, there is a need for sharing, reuse, giving consent, enable collaboration, enable interoperability between systems, and adopting these systems with trust. Standards can come in different forms. Technology, from the standpoint of technology, we have IPv6 protocol that we follow in internet. There is TCP IP protocol. There are frameworks. If you may have heard about Lean Startup by Ulrich, there's a book by the same name. That's a framework. Then there are methodologies. You have Lean Six Sigma as a methodology. You have Agile methodology that is followed in software development. And then there are use cases. I will talk about use cases, some of these use cases in a little while. And once these standards in different forms are worked on, then how are they implemented, how are they diffused and shared? So it can be as published papers in reputed journals like Springer or Elsevier. It can be in the form of patents, where you hold the intellectual property for up to 20 years. But even while we say that, patent is protecting your intellectual property for whichever product or process that you have, but when you are actually applying for a patent, you have to disclose your idea. When you fill up the disclosure form, you need to disclose the idea of the idea that you have about your product and process. Then there are standards. I mean, some of you, I'm sure, are auditors of some of these standards. We have ISO 27001, which is on information security, 9001, which is on management standards. So these are standards, and there are certifying bodies which certify when an organization follows and implements these standards. Then there are regulation, like GDPR, you may have heard, Global Data Protection Regulation, which came out from European Union. So that is a regulation that was formed by European Union, some of the European countries coming together. And it can also take the form of legislation. In our own country, the DPDP Act, the Digital Data Privacy Act, which was enacted as an act in August 2025 by Indian Parliament. So that is an example of regulation, and which actually was, the rules came up the last month in November, and it is being operationalized now. Now, what are the sources of standards? Who works on these? So, forums are there, like NASSCOM is a forum. You have World Economic Forum, then there are bodies. ICAI is a wonderful example of a body where you develop and work on accounting standards. Then there are national bodies. So in India, we have BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, which works and implements and diffuses standards. Then there is international body. You have ISO, IEEE, IEC. So these are international bodies. And then there are unions and groups of countries. Like I gave an example of European Union, where European countries came together to form GDPR. So now that we have seen, standards, requirement, why standards, who works on it, why AI? Why standards in AI? Now, AI is a rapidly developing field. We are all trying to understand what it does, how we can use it, and that's the agenda for this two-day conference here. So there is, to all the things that we saw discussed just now, so all these applies to this rapid development on the field of artificial intelligence. And there is a specific committee called Standards Committee 42 under ISO IEC, which is dedicated to AI standards. There are 5 working groups, which you see on the left-hand side here. Working Group 1, which works on foundational standards. Working Group 2 works on data, and everything related to data. Working Group 3 works on trustworthiness. Working Group 4 focuses on use cases and applications for government, for industry, as well as for the social sector. And then we have Working Group 5, which focuses on computational approaches and computational characteristics of AI systems, because you would have heard that AI systems are very computationally heavy. So these 5 working groups work on standards, it takes anything between 3 to 5 years to actually get a standard published for the international or the globe to follow. Now, what you see on the right-hand side, these are bubbles, which is basically highlights the standards from which are coming out from each of these working groups. Now here, I will not explain all these standards, but I will definitely call out a few standards which I think is important for this audience to know, as well as which are important for us, data science and AI professionals. So I will start with this ISO IEC 42000. IEC full form is International Techno-Electrical Commission. So they focus primarily around electronic and electrical standards, but they also work with ISO. ISO works more on global, standards across all sectors. But ISO, IEC work together in electrical, electronic, and computer-related standards together. So 42001, which came up from WG1, the first group that I talked about. So this is a management standard, management system standard. This was published in late 2023, and in the last 1 year, it has become quite, popular. There are companies which are implementing this. This applies to both companies which are providing or using, both kinds of companies who are providing or using AI-based products or services, and it ensures responsible development and use of AI systems. So it provides guidelines for establishing, implementing, maintaining, and continually improving an artificial intelligence management systems within the organization. And this is universal in the sense that it works across organization size, small, big. It also, works across sectors. It has a hierarchical structure in the sense, it also integrates with many other ISO standards like 9001, which is management standard, quality management standards, 27001 for information security, for data protection, 27702. So it integrates across other standards with other standards as well. These are the processes that it covers, from your how to handle policy exceptions, impact assessment, risk assessment, to responsible use of AI system, data provenance, and so on. There are 38 AI controls which are there, from your policies to resources for AI system life cycle, data for AI system, usage, third party and customer relationships. And all these controls are implemented through a checklist of documents. So there are about 30 checklists, which ensures that all these controls can be followed and implemented. And there are reference frameworks as well. So I've given a link to this. You can go to the ISO website and download, because many of you, I'm sure, you will be doing these audits as part of audits. And, you can also, when I share these slides with the organizers, you can also get it from them. I will talk about some other standards also, like 5259 series. This is ISO IEC 5259 series. This is not a management standard, meaning you are not getting certified under this, but you can get self-compliant. You can follow it and comply to it. So this is primarily focused around data quality. There are 6 parts. 4 parts are already out, so, published. So the first part 1 talks about terms and terminologies. Part 2 talks about data quality measures. Each data element has 16 characteristics, like accuracy, precision, completeness, consistency, and maybe at a particular given time, or for a use case or scenario, maybe 5, 6, 7 is applicable. Then there is data quality management, which talks about data life cycle. So when data is generated, it is processed, consumed, data retired, then data purging. That entire life cycle is covered under data quality management. And data quality process framework covers data governance. And I will talk about data governance in a little while. So there are many things that are in play here. So you have data, structured data, unstructured data, volume of data, big data, high velocity, like we say, big data, high volume, high velocity. Then the play between ML and AI. So ML or machine learning, ML is machine learning methods. So where, again, we handle huge volume of data, but then we look at, or we are, as a business, we are interested in understanding the, correlation or causality between different variables, or what we, in ML term, we call them as features. And AI is, neural network dependent, so we use deep learning methods there. Little, black box because of the methods that are used. I will talk a little more about that subsequently. And then, data governance here, as well as in data quality process framework also, there is focus on data governance. So there are these aspects that, that are handled, addressed in 5259 series. Then there is 5338. This covers AI lifecycle methodology. This is different, and we need to understand that AI lifecycle is different than a software development lifecycle. So for software development lifecycle, there is CMMI, which came from Carnegie Mellon University. But you can see here from in AI lifecycle, there is requirement analysis, architecture definition, then knowledge acquisition, data engineering is an important piece, implementation, verification, validation, and continuous monitoring of model updates, and then how to operationalize that. So it gives you guidelines, and you can follow and get, self-compliant. So these are also some cases. These are called as specifications given, and that is why not, these are not management standards. So there is another one, 38507. This standard covers governance implications for AI applications, very important aspects of decision oversight, explainability, trustworthiness, and reliability. I will talk a little bit about these, in subsequently when I talk about responsible AI. ISO IEC 24668. This is an important standard, and I'll take a few minutes to talk about this for two reasons. One is that this is the world's first AI assessment standard, and secondly, this is the standard which India has developed for the world to follow. This is the first time that India developed an ISO standard in its 40 years of IT history. You will be happy and proud to know that. And we are also happy to share that from our company, my co-founder Gautam Banerjee, he is the project lead and editor of this standard from India. He conceptualized this, he socialized it in ISO IEC world, through BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards. The work started in 2018. It got published as a standard in 2022, November. This covers, so when an organization decides or is thinking that we want to implement AI, then it needs to first know that are they ready or not. So this standard assesses the readiness of the current processes in an organization. So there are 5 process categories: organization stakeholder processes, competency development processes, data management processes, analytics development processes, technology integration processes. And under each of these, all these 5 process categories, there are 19 sub-processes. There is a process measurement framework which assesses the capability of all these process and sub-processes. And there is a rating scale that it uses 1 to 5. There is a process reference model which provides the context, purpose, and outcomes. And from this, from this capability assessment, where you are currently, what are the organization knows that, understands that, what are the gaps and opportunities, low-hanging fruits in short term, as well as long-term projects, and they get a roadmap. Now, when you are actually going into implementing that roadmap, the AI journey, that is where you take the help of 42001, the ISO standard 42001, and then you implement it. So those are some of the standards that I wanted to give you and make you aware of. There are many other standards, like in 5259 series, there is part 5 and part 6 also, which is right now under development. Maybe in due course of time, it will be out. And there are few other standards also now which are being led from India around machine learning, data anonymization, around data quality, around AI, from this Standards Committee 42. Now I will talk a little bit about the different kind of AI applications. And I will focus more on, giving you a broader perspective, not just tax or, audit, because I'm sure today, at the later part of the day, as well as tomorrow, there will be a lot of discussions around AI in tax, audit, compliance, and so on. So I will try to give you a broad understanding of the different kind of applications as a data science and AI company that we have implemented for our enterprise customers. So the first one is data governance. I had briefly talked about data governance and the standards around that. So you can see that there is data around of companies, organizations, PAN, CIN, GSTN, different kinds of organizations are there, proprietary, private limited, public limited companies. You have contacts, names, addresses of them, and the products and services that they provide, right? Any large organization will have, hundreds and thousands of suppliers and vendors and buyers. So there will be this kind of data for them. So it is important that data of the customer as well as the the supplier, is correct, right? Otherwise, there will be issues, pay to, procure to pay or account receivable, both sides. There will be issues. And when you are actually trying to make payment, there will be delay because of incorrect, inconsistent, wrong information. So we have seen that in large organizations, there are a lot of duplication of data, incomplete data, incorrect data, missing information. So we use machine learning and AI. So this is an AI-enabled data governance where we use machine learning and business rule combination to identify those duplicate, redundant, incomplete information, those records. We flag those for the chief data officer or the process owner to take a look at it. And then we create these data quality summaries, or which is also enabled by AI chatbot, where you can type in English language that out of that data set, how many PAN information is missing, for how many records your GSTN is incomplete, right? And we use machine learning, we use business rules and algorithms to actually clean those records. And step by step. So there can be single PAN, multiple organization. There can be single PAN, single organization. There can be also multiple PAN, single organization. So there can be different kinds of situations. So based on these algorithms, we actually clean these through our process. And wherever there are disputed records, it is called, then those are flagged out. So this helps in cleaning the records so that for the process, whether it is AR or AP, account payable or receivable, those processes are clean and there is no delay of receiving or getting payment. I will move on to the next one. And here, in fact, before moving to the next one, we also use API to validate the PAN information. Because nowadays, there are providers which gives APIs for PAN information. Many of you probably use it, so that your information is always up to date. Next, I will talk about another use case which we have implemented for a manufacturing company. They are one of the largest battery manufacturers of India. They have more than 1 lakh dealer and a sub-dealer in their distribution network. So, if a dealer is selling today, say 100 rupees, and then next month, if they are selling goods worth, batteries worth 70 rupees or 80 rupees, then there is a loss, right? You were selling 100, you're selling 70, 80 now, so there's a 20-30% degrowth in your orders, in your revenue. So using order data historical order data. For this company, we are actually predicting dealer churn. So who are those dealers who are at risk of degrowth? Now, once we identify that, then we also need to arrest it. So only identification is not enough. So you have to arrest that revenue loss or the at risk of churn revenue. So there then we, again looking at historical data, we do product recommendation for dealers and sub-dealers, where based on historical pattern of their buying in the near vicinity clusters, dealer cluster, product clusters, we look at the pattern. And based on that, we recommend products which will arrest that revenue loss. And all these relationship with dealers, sub-dealers, agencies in some of the cases of, like, let's say, mutual fund distribution setup. So these relationships are typically nurtured and managed by the salespeople. So they have to do anything between 160, 180 calls or visits a month to these dealers or agencies. So then how will they do that visit planning? So using the data again, we do the sales visit planning so that this at-risk revenue is arrested. So we have, we identify, high propensity to churn dealers. Then we provide that recommendation. We give the sales visit planning for the salespeople, that who should they go and meet first. And all this together is part of their revenue retention program. For one of our e-commerce customer, B2B e-commerce customers in the US, we have implemented a shipping cost optimization model. So if you look at the e-commerce space, margins are very thin. Especially in the US, very competitive, margins are very thin. And if you can save on margin, that directly goes and adds to your profitability. So here, they had multiple warehouses, one in the East Coast, one in the West Coast. And, using the order that the customer is placing the order in Shopify, website, the data is coming in to them. They have to check the inventory, whether inventory is available or not. And then because it is e-commerce, so they have to also check whether the product is available or not in their warehouse. And from which warehouse will they ship, depending on where the customer is, placing the order. So if I am in the East Coast, if I am shipping it from my warehouse in the East Coast, then I need to have those inventory. Need to have those products available in my warehouse. So at real time, we are actually checking all this information, and then the product is couriered or shipped, fulfilled through courier service courier combination. So they use UPS, Postal Service, UPS, and UPES. So using all this information, data in real time, we are actually suggesting that, okay, how they can deliver the goods, but lower cost, how they can save and optimize on shipping costs without compromising on the delivery to the customer. So, response time of less than 2 seconds. We created it as a microservice architecture and a scalable model. So this is, typically people who have studied operation research, or in your CA also you have to study, a lot of statistics in some of your modules. So we use these, but in this particular case, the available optimization techniques was not enough, and it couldn't solve the real business problem, so we had to write those custom heuristics for them. In manufacturing companies, you do stock audits, you do, other, work with them. So you will see that, in manufacturing companies, there are a lot of raw material. So there are, again, a lot of raw material suppliers. And there are a lot of contracts in these raw material contractors, or even other, service providers or goods providers that they work with. So there are, typically these contracts are like long documents, like anything between 10 to 100, 200 pages, all legal language. So here, we using computer vision and AI, generative AI, we actually built this contract assistance for one of our manufacturing customers. And so here we are actually, so let's say the suppliers are supplying natural gas, so from Reliance and from Shell. So then you would like to know, okay, that particular contract, is still in place or not. Has it expired? I mean, during COVID, many of us were grappling and looking at our contracts to see and discovered that the force majeure, clause is missing. So it can actually suggest also that, based on the risk assessment of the document, the contract, which are the clauses which are missing. So not only it summarizes, but it also identifies that gap. We can also compare between documents. So Reliance is also supplying natural gas, Shell is also supplying natural gas, and you want to compare the delivery schedule between these two contracts, or you want to compare the price terms and conditions between these contracts. So we can also, do that through this system, and that helps the procurement team in terms of, better negotiation with the suppliers. That, what kind of lead time you have when you are doing production planning in the organization. And it basically equips the commercial and the procurement team to handle situations, talk and work with vendors in an efficient way. So I will not go into further details, but let me move to the next one, next use case. So this is a marketing agent. So I've shown you some glimpses of documents. Now, if data is available in systems like SAP, then also we have developed and deployed systems which directly interacts with data from SAP. And
so we are developing a chatbot that interacts with the transactional sales data using natural language. It connects directly to the Databricks where the data is stored and enabling real-time insights as users ask. There is a drop-down labeled View Database Schema. When we expand that, it shows the schema of the underlying database with all the tables and columns of the data. So first, it provides the observation of the data with step-by-step reasoning process and data interpretation. Next, here it is explaining the SQL query with assumptions. Then here is the SQL query, and we are getting the data under View Data tab. On the basis of the answer, we can generate a chart, and for this we have to click on the Visualize button. The chart is Auto AI recommended. It is opening in a new tab, and also we can see it in the front end. So here it is showing the bar chart. Under the chart type option, we can also select chart type independently. Can you show me a trend line of total units sold by March? Here also we are getting the detailed analysis of the data, step-by-step reasoning. We are getting a line chart. What is the total sales generated through March mega sale? How much of the participating brand sales were generated from the sale? Breakup by brand. In this question also we are getting the response. The Settings tab serves two main purposes: management and view uploaded data. In the User Configuration Management section, users can manage.
So you got a flair of, that we can handle with the help of AI. We can handle documents. We can also handle, data which is available within organization in different enterprise systems. I'm sure some of you are already using that, or probably you are also building such applications. But here, when we are doing it at an enterprise level, then we also have to take care of, security, data security, that where the data is getting uploaded. Those systems are secured. There are, real-time data pipeline, which is updating the data, at a given interval, depending on, the requirement of the organization and so on. And here, this is a marketing agent, so, there are all those integrations with the POS source. There is integration, with the other functions within the or other databases or data sources. It talked about Databricks, so that it is an integrated and automated system which is empowering the marketing business user to analyze their campaigns by themselves without the requirement of the team which is knowing SQL and Python and all that. And so it is basically empowering them to analyze, get the insights, and then act faster.
So we are
So, and I'm sure that in the next 2 days you will see a lot more applications, and I saw that there are a lot of sessions where you are having hands-on sessions also, where probably you will also learn how to build some of these applications. But I think while learning, we'll also need to, like I said, we have to be careful about the data privacy, in the sense, when you are looking at, from the context of chartered accountants, you handle a lot of customers' data. So ensuring that that data sanctity is protected, I think, which is an important topic in itself. So I'll cover, some aspects of responsible AI and why, we are talking about responsible AI. So if you, think about the AI, which became suddenly very popular post the ChatGPT launch, and now every day there is some news or the other about generative AI and how it is actually helping us. So all these applications, specifically around generative AI, also some aspects of AI which uses things like deep learning or neural network. Now, what is neural network? These are, this kind of tries to mimic our brain. Now, scientists are anyway grappling with finding out, how our brain works, which is a very complex system, right? So neural network is also a complex system, and it depends on heavily on very huge volume of data and lot of computation. So the logic of it, the functioning of the neural network, and there are different kinds. You have RNN, CNN, recurring neural network, convoluted neural network, reinforcement learning, and all that. So all these different methods which are used, the output of that is not always explainable, mostly not explainable. And it is not very transparent also. Like in the case, but for business, we need to understand that what is actually happening, what data is going in, what is the logic that is happening in between, and before we get the output. But when we are using generative AI or certain aspects of AI, it is not so, and that is why there is so much of talk around responsible AI, transparency, and so on. So under responsible AI, there are these things, aspects: fairness, accountability. So is my system fair? So when an AI application is developed and we are using it, is it treating everybody equitably? If it is a hiring or HR application, then is it screening and eliminating certain sections, kinds of people based on gender, or maybe senior age, or certain ethnicity? Or if it is a loan application, housing loan application, so based on certain demographic characters, is it distinguishing and screening the people who are from economically weaker section? Accountability, are these systems, the AI systems which are being developed, we are using, are these accountable? And I'll give you a personal example. I mean, I was in California earlier this month, in the US, earlier this year, and we were out for a city tour with my friends, and we were looking to take an Uber from that place, Pier 39, to the parking lot, and we saw a lot of Waymo, which are basically self-driving or driverless taxis. So we were a little excited to see that, and we saw that, okay, let's try. So we booked, it came, it was very fast, and we got on it, and it suddenly, we were inside, and it took a very sharp right turn. I mean, nothing happened, but otherwise I wouldn't be here standing today in front of you. But then I started thinking that we are using technology is very good, but if something had happened, something untoward had happened, then who is accountable for that mishap or accident? Is it the car? Ferrari cars, Tatas are the owners, so are they responsible? Or is it the company which has built the software on which the car is actually going on? Or is it Waymo, the car rental company? Or is it the San Francisco traffic authority, or the city regulation, or us as passengers? So the applications that we are building, it is not only that it is the onus of the developer when they are developing, to make it accountable, responsible, but also as users, also we need to be aware of it. Transparency, I talked about it, because of the nature of the methods or models which are being used, neural network dependent deep learning methods, so a lot of time these are not transparent. So, like we say edge cases or boundary cases, we know that, okay, when height increases, weight also increases. But a lot of times after, the age of 18, 17, 18, I mean, your height is not increasing, but still our weight increases, right? The midsection protrudes. So these boundary conditions, does it explain? Does it take into that and does it explain? Is it transparent? And then there is privacy and data protection. There is, in our context, in India, the DPDP Act hopefully, will, safeguards our personal data throughout the AI lifecycle. And there are, safety and reliability in the sense that, the systems that we are using for business, for prediction, or even for, individual users. We use so many, social media channels, platforms, we use ChatGPT. Are the data safe and are they also reliable? So these are different aspects that we need to, keep in mind. And we as an organization worked on explainability and transparency, the two pillars of responsible AI. So in July 2024, we had presented this paper, Explainability and Transparency in Designing Responsible AI Application in the Enterprise, at London AI Conference. And it was published later in Springer in December 2024. So here we actually we looked at two aspects. One is explainability, the other is transparency. Under explainability, we looked at type, medium, objectives, characteristics, and safety. While under transparency, we considered disclosure, accessibility, openness, auditing, and engagement. Now, for the people who are developing, AI is not only limited to that. So we looked at three types of roles: the developers, designers, managers and supervisors, as well as senior leaders and governance. And the framework engaged all these different stakeholders, from the aspect of technology, policies, as well as ethics. So how do you look at explainability? How do you look at transparency from all these, different roles who are involved? Because it is not just enough that somebody is developing. We are using it. Somebody is, authorizing it. There are policymakers who are deciding on policies, for a larger audience based on this. So we also have a framework, quantitative framework that we use for each of these parameters, and we are further, working on expanding this quantitative framework and also considering taking it for a patent or a standard. So as an organization, I'm happy that, we get to work on not only, develop solutions, for business problems for organizations, but we actually shape this budding, area of AI at a global level, sitting here, right here in Kolkata, and we are happy that we can contribute there. Our organization is part of the global narrative. So thank you so much for your time. I'm sure in the next 2 days, you will learn, you will hear a lot more about AI. And I'm sure you will be also making a lot of applications. A lot of people ask me, so am I safe? Will AI predict everything? And I think that's a common question, right? So yeah, I mean, AI is here to stay. AI is changing the way we work, the way we learn as well, even from a child to us adults, learning, working, everything. It's a paradigm shift for us. But even while we are predicting demand for organizations, we are improving the way we work. But I'm not sure, and maybe you can develop such solutions, whether it can predict whether a company will get a GST notice or not tomorrow. So thank you so much for your time and attention. And I wish you, very best for these next 2 days of the AI Summit. Thank you so much.